"You're done, Maya. No one wants a crippled dancer." She'd been his golden goose for 5 years, performing at exclusive galas for the city's elite, her grace and artistry commanding fees that made Derrick wealthier by the month. Now, sitting in this chair with titanium rods holding her back together, she was apparently worthless to him. He hadn't visited once, hadn't called, had only sent his assistant with paperwork to sign. Paperwork Maya's lawyer had warned her not to touch until she understood what she was signing away. The physical therapy room loomed ahead, and Maya steeled herself for another hour of agony as she tried to retrain muscles that barely remembered how to respond. Her therapist, Joan, had warned her that mornings were hardest, that the pain would be most intense when her body was stiff from sleep. Joan had no idea. The elevator dinged behind her, and Maya glanced back out of habit. The doors slid open and she froze. 4 men in dark suits stepped out, moving with the kind of synchronized precision that suggested military training. But it was the man at the center who made Maya's breath catch in her throat. Tall, perhaps 6'3", with black hair swept back from a face that could have been carved from marble. A sharp jaw, high cheekbones, and eyes so dark they appeared almost black in the harsh hospital lighting. He wore a 3-piece charcoal suit that probably cost more than Maya had made in her best year, and he moved like a predator, controlled, purposeful, aware of everything around him. Dante Castellano. Everyone in the city knew that name, even if they pretended not to. The youngest son of the Castellano family, the organization that controlled everything from the docks to half the restaurants in the downtown core. Legitimate businesses, people said, but Maya had heard the whispers. The Castellanos didn't just own businesses, they owned people, judges, politicians, cops. And Dante, according to the rumors, was the most dangerous of them all. The enforcer. The one they sent when someone needed to understand the consequences of crossing the family. What was he doing here? Maya's heart hammered as Dante's gaze swept the corridor and landed directly on her. For a moment that stretched impossibly long, their eyes locked. His expression didn't change, but something flickered in those dark depths. Recognition? Impossible. They'd never met. Then he was moving past her, his men flanking him, and Maya released a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. She turned her chair toward the therapy room, trying to shake off the unsettling encounter. "Maya Patterson?" The voice came from behind her, smooth and deep with an edge that made it clear the speaker was used to being obeyed. Maya's hands stilled on her wheels. Slowly, she turned. Dante Castellano stood 3 feet away, his men having peeled off somewhere down the corridor. Up close, he was even more intimidating, not because of his size, though he towered over her seated form, but because of the intensity that radiated from him like heat from a furnace. "Yes?" Maya managed, hating how small her voice sounded. He moved closer, and then, to her absolute shock, he crouched down so they were eye to eye. The movement was fluid, graceful even, and brought with it the scent of expensive cologne and something else. Leather, maybe, and the faintest hint of gun oil. "Who put you in that chair?" The question was asked in a tone that suggested he already knew the answer and was merely confirming facts. Maya's mouth went dry. "I don't understand." "Yes, you do." Dante's gaze moved over her face with an intensity that made her feel exposed, as though he could see through every defense she'd built in the past 3 weeks. 3 weeks ago, you were performing at the Belmore Gallery, private event. Your car went off the road on your way home. Single vehicle accident, the police report said. But we both know that's a lie. Maya's chest tightened. Who put you in that chair? Each word was enunciated with terrifying precision. It was an accident. The lie tasted bitter on her tongue, but what was she supposed to say? That she'd seen Derrick arguing with someone in the gallery's back corridor that night? That the man he'd been arguing with had worn a gold ring with a distinctive crest? The same crest she'd later learned belonged to the Romano family, the Castellanos' biggest rivals? That her brakes had failed on a mountain road she'd driven 100 times before? She had no proof, just suspicions, and a body that would never move the same way again. Dante studied her for a long moment, then stood in one fluid motion. "You're a terrible liar, Maya Patterson. I don't know what you want from me." "Nothing." He reached into his jacket, and Maya's whole body tensed until he withdrew a business card. Heavy cardstock, expensive. A phone number embossed in silver, nothing else. "But when you're ready to stop protecting the person who did this to you, call that number." He turned to leave. "Why do you care?" The question burst from Maya before she could stop it. Dante paused, glancing back over his shoulder. "Because that performance at the Belmore? You danced for my mother's birthday. She hasn't stopped talking about you since. And because someone who destroys beauty like yours deserves to answer for it." Then he was gone, striding down the corridor with that same lethal grace, leaving Maya alone with a business card burning against her palm and 1,000 questions spinning through her mind. The therapy session was torture, but Maya barely noticed. Her mind kept returning to those dark eyes, that voice, the casual way Dante Castellano had mentioned her accident as though he had every detail memorized. How did he know? Why did he know? And what did he mean about her protecting someone? Derrick. It had to be Derrick. But why would Derrick want her hurt? Yes, she'd threatened to leave his management when she found out he'd been skimming 30% off her fees instead of the 15% they'd agreed to. But that was a civil matter. Lawyers and contracts, not attempted murder. Unless... Maya's hands stilled on the parallel bars she'd been using to practice standing. Unless Derrick's involvement with the Romanos went deeper than one overheard argument. Unless she'd seen something that night she wasn't supposed to see, and Derrick had decided she was a liability. The thought should have seemed paranoid, ridiculous even. But it fit. It fit with Derrick's sudden coldness, his absence, the way his assistant had showed up with paperwork that Maya's lawyer had called highly irregular and potentially ruinous. "Good work today, Maya," Joan said, offering a hand to help her back into the chair. "You held your weight for almost 45 seconds. That's real progress." Maya nodded absently, her mind already elsewhere. Back in her room, she stared at the business card Dante had given her. No name, no company, just that single phone number. She should throw it away. Getting involved with the Castellanos would be trading one nightmare for another. But as the sun set outside her window and the shadows lengthened across her small private room, Maya picked up her phone. The number rang twice before a voice answered. Yes. Not Dante's voice. Someone else. Professional. Neutral. "I need to speak with Mr. Castellano." "Regarding?" "He'll know." A pause. Then, "Hold, please." Silence stretched for 30 seconds. Then Dante's voice came on the line, and Maya's breath caught despite herself. "I wasn't sure you'd call." "I wasn't sure either." Maya closed her eyes, committing to a path she suspected would change everything. "You asked who put me in this chair. I think I know, but I need to understand why you care before I say anything else." "Fair enough." Background noise suggested he was somewhere with people, somewhere busy. "My mother commissioned you for her birthday because you remind her of herself when she was young, a dancer, an artist. She gave it up when she married my father, and she's regretted it every day since. Watching you perform gave her a piece of that back. When she heard about your accident, she cried for the first time since my father's funeral." The raw honesty in his voice caught Maya off guard. This wasn't the cold Mafia enforcer from the rumors. This was a son who loved his mother. "So this is about your mother?" "No." A pause. "This is about the fact that beautiful things are rare in my world, Miss Patterson. And when someone destroys beauty out of greed, or spite, or stupidity, I take it personally." "I'm not beautiful anymore," Maya whispered, the words escaping before she could stop them. "I'm broken." "You're scarred. There's a difference." Dante's voice dropped lower, intimate despite the phone line between them. "Scars mean you survived something that should have killed you. There's power in that, beauty in that. Maya's throat tightened. My manager, Derrick Hammond. I think he was working with the Romanos. I saw him arguing with someone the night of the performance. Someone wearing a gold ring with a crest. I looked it up later. It's the Romano family crest. My brakes failed 2 hours after that performance. Derrick Hammond. Dante repeated the name like he was committing it to memory. Where is he now? I don't know. He hasn't contacted me since the accident except through his assistant. I have a lawyer trying to reach him about some paperwork he sent, but Derrick's been avoiding the calls. He's about to become very easy to find. Something in Dante's tone made Maya shiver. Where are you being discharged to? What? When you leave the hospital, where are you going? I had an apartment, but it's a third-floor walk-up. I can't... Maya swallowed hard. I'm looking at assisted living facilities. Somewhere temporary until I figure out what's next. No. Excuse me? You're not going to some facility. Dante said it like the matter was already decided. I own a property in the Riverside district. Ground floor, fully accessible. You'll stay there. I can't afford... It's not for rent. Consider it a safe house. Derrick Hammond is connected to people who tried to kill you once. They might try again, especially if they think you're talking. You need protection. And you're offering to protect me? Maya couldn't keep the skepticism from her voice. Out of the goodness of your heart? Out of the practical need to keep you alive while I handle the situation. And yes, because my mother would have my head if something else happened to you. A pause. But mostly because when I looked into your eyes in that corridor, I saw something I recognized. What? Fire. You're angry, Miss Patterson. Furious, even. You're just too polite and too scared to let it show yet. But it's there, burning under everything else. And that fire? That's what's going to get you out of that chair and back on your feet. Assisted living facilities don't nurture fire. They extinguish it. Maya found herself nodding, even though he couldn't see her. Okay. Okay? I'll take the apartment, but I want to be clear. I'm not interested in being someone's charity case or pet project. If I stay there, I pay rent once I'm working again. And I want to know everything you find out about Derrick and what happened to me. Agreed. She could hear the smile in Dante's voice. I'll send someone tomorrow to handle the discharge paperwork and transport. Her name is Sophia. She works for me, and she'll make sure you have everything you need. Thank you, Maya said quietly. Don't thank me yet, Maya. This is just the beginning. The line went dead, and Maya sat in the darkening room, clutching her phone and wondering what exactly she'd just agreed to. Sophia arrived the next morning like a whirlwind in designer heels. 40-something, with auburn hair, swept into a perfect chignon and the kind of poise that suggested she could organize an invasion and still make it home in time for dinner. Within 2 hours, she'd handled Maya's discharge paperwork, arranged for all her belongings from the old apartment to be moved to the new one, and had Maya settled in a luxury SUV with seats that adjusted to accommodate her limited mobility. The Riverside property turned out to be a renovated warehouse, converted into high-end lofts. Maya's unit was on the ground floor, just as Dante had promised, with wide doorways, a roll-in shower, and enough space that she could navigate easily in her chair. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the river, and the kitchen had been modified with lower counters and accessible appliances. Mr. Castellano had the modifications done 2 days ago, Sophia explained as she showed Maya around. He wanted to make sure everything was ready. He had this renovated in 2 days? Maya stared at the gleaming space. Sophia smiled. When Mr. Castellano wants something done, it gets done. Now, I've stocked the fridge and pantry. There's a physical therapist who makes house calls. I've scheduled her to come 3 times a week. And this, she handed Maya a sleek smartphone, is a secure line. Mr. Castellano's number is programmed in. Press 1 if you need anything. Anything at all. This is too much, Maya protested. It's necessary. Sophia's expression softened. Mr. Castellano has enemies, Miss Patterson. By association, you now have those same enemies. This isn't charity. It's insurance. He needs you safe, and I need you to trust that we're very good at keeping people safe. After Sophia left, Maya explored her new space, trying to process the surreal turn her life had taken. Less than 24 hours ago, she'd been staring at brochures for depressing facilities with linoleum floors and shared rooms. Now she was in a luxury loft, protected by a Mafia boss who claimed to care about beauty and art. It should have felt like a trap. Instead, it felt like the first deep breath she'd taken since the accident. Her new phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Settled in? Maya's pulse quickened. She knew that tone even in text form. Yes, thank you. This place is incredible. Good. I need you to do something for me. What? Make a list of everyone Derrick introduced you to in the 6 months before the accident. Every name you remember, especially anyone who seemed interested in your schedule or your routines. Maya's fingers flew over the keyboard as she typed back. Why? Because Derrick didn't decide to have you killed on his own. Someone told him to do it. I need to know who. The casual way Dante referenced her attempted murder should have been chilling. Instead, Maya found it oddly comforting. No one else had believed her suspicions. Everyone else had treated her fears as paranoia brought on by trauma. But Dante stated it as simple fact. Someone tried to kill you. Kill. And we're going to find out who. I'll make the list, she typed. Smart girl. One more thing. Yes? That paperwork Derrick sent. Don't sign anything. My lawyers will review it tomorrow. Your lawyers? Our lawyers. You're under my protection now, Maya. That means my resources are your resources. Maya stared at the message for a long moment before typing. Why are you really doing this? The reply took longer this time. When it came, it made Maya's chest tighten. Because the night you performed for my mother, I watched you dance, and for 5 minutes, I forgot about every ugly thing in my world. That's rare. That's precious. And anyone who tries to destroy something precious answers to me. Before Maya could respond, another message arrived. Get some rest. Sophia will be by in the morning. Then silence. Maya spent the evening working on the list Dante had requested, her memory dredging up faces and names from dozens of performances and events. Derrick had always been about networking, introducing her to potential clients and benefactors. Most of the names meant nothing to her, but a few stood out. Vincent Romano, the man with the crest ring. Marcus Chen, who'd asked oddly specific questions about her driving route home. Angela Petrova, who'd seemed way too interested in whether Maya had overheard any conversations at various events. By midnight, she had 23 names. She sent the list to Dante's number and went to bed, her mind churning with questions she couldn't answer. She woke to sunlight streaming through the massive windows and the smell of fresh coffee. For a moment, disoriented, Maya couldn't remember where she was. Then it all came rushing back. The hospital, Dante, this loft. The coffee smell was real. Heart pounding, Maya transferred from the bed to her chair and wheeled into the main living area. A man stood in her kitchen, his back to her as he worked at the coffee maker. Not just any man. Dante Castellano, dressed in dark jeans and a black Henley that showcased broad shoulders and muscled arms, looked completely at home in her space. Or his space, technically. How did you get in here? Maya demanded, very aware that she was wearing only an oversized t-shirt and had no makeup on. Dante glanced over his shoulder, and something flickered in his dark eyes as they moved over her. I own the building. I have keys. That doesn't mean you can just walk in. You're right. I apologize. He turned fully, holding up a hand. I should have called first, but I got your list at 2 a.m., and I couldn't sleep. I've been working on it since then, and I wanted to give you an update in person. Despite her irritation at the intrusion, Maya's curiosity won out. Did you find something? Several somethings. Dante poured 2 cups of coffee with practiced ease and brought one to where Maya sat. He settled onto the couch, close enough that she could see the dark circles under his eyes. He hadn't been kidding about working through the night. Derrick Hammond is connected to the Romanos, but not the way you think. He's not working for them. He owes them. Owes them what? about $2 million in gambling debts. The Romanos have been using that debt as leverage, forcing Derrick to provide information about his clients, specifically which clients might be attending events where Romano interests are discussed. Maya frowned. I don't understand. What does that have to do with me? You performed at my mother's birthday. That party was attended by 15 members of my family and 20 associates. It was essentially a business meeting disguised as a celebration. The Romanos wanted intel on who attended and what was discussed. Derrick was supposed to provide that intel. But I didn't know anything about the business discussions. I was just there to dance. Exactly. But you saw Derrick talking to Vincent Romano. You saw them together, which means you could connect Derrick to the Romanos if anyone ever asked the right questions. You became a liability. The casual way Dante explained her near murder made Maya's hands shake. Coffee sloshed in her cup, and Dante leaned forward, steadying it with his own hands. His fingers were warm, scarred across the knuckles, and surprisingly gentle. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I'm too used to discussing violence like it's weather reports. This is your life we're talking about. Your body. That was thoughtless of me. No, Maya took a breath. I'd rather have the truth, even if it's ugly. What happens now? Dante's expression hardened. Now we deal with Derrick Hammond. Deal with him how? That depends on what you want. Maya stared at him. What I want. This happened to you. You get to decide how it's handled. Dante's dark eyes held hers. I can make Derrick disappear. No one would ever find him, and he'd never threaten you again. Or I can make him answer for what he did in a way that sends a message, but leaves him breathing. Your choice. You're asking me if I want you to kill him? Maya's voice came out strangled. I'm asking what justice looks like to you. Maya's mind reeled. She'd spent 3 weeks in impotent fury, unable to do anything about the suspicions that had haunted her. Now Dante was offering her retribution on a silver platter, and all she had to do was say the word. I don't want him dead, she said finally, but I want him to face consequences. Real consequences. And I want everyone to know why this happened to me. I want the truth. Dante nodded slowly. Then that's what you'll get. I'll need a few days to arrange things. Arrange what? You'll see. He stood, and Maya hated how she had to crane her neck to look up at him. In the meantime, there's something else we need to discuss. What? That paperwork Derrick sent you. My lawyers reviewed it. He was trying to get you to sign away all rights to any settlements or legal action related to the accident, and he was claiming ownership of all footage and recordings of your performances under a clause in your original contract. That's insane. My contract was for management representation, not ownership of my work. The contract you signed 5 years ago might say different. Derrick's good at burying clauses in fine print. Dante's jaw tightened. We'll fight it, but I need you to understand something. This is going to get ugly. Derrick's going to argue that you breached your contract by talking to me. The Romanos are going to claim harassment. They'll try to paint you as unstable, paranoid. They'll use your injury against you, suggest your judgment is impaired. Let them try, Maya said, surprised by the steel in her own voice. I'm not hiding anymore. Something that might have been respect flickered in Dante's eyes. Good. I'll pick you up tomorrow at 7. For what? Dinner with my mother. She's been asking about you since she heard you were out of the hospital. He smiled slightly. Fair warning. She's going to cry when she sees you, and she's going to insist on feeding you enough food for 3 people. Just nod and eat. Trust me. Before Maya could process that she was apparently having dinner with a Mafia matriarch, Dante was gone, leaving her alone with lukewarm coffee and a heart that wouldn't stop racing. The next 24 hours passed in a blur of phone calls with lawyers, a surprisingly pleasant visit from the physical therapist Sophia had arranged, and an emergency shopping expedition when Maya realized she had nothing appropriate to wear to dinner with the Castellano family. Sophia appeared as if summoned, whisked Maya to a boutique that stayed open late just for them, and helped her select a dress that was elegant without being ostentatious. deep emerald silk that brought out the green in Maya's hazel eyes. When Dante arrived to pick her up, his reaction made every minute of preparation worth it. He'd been reaching to open her door, clearly intending to help her transfer from chair to car, when he caught sight of her. He went absolutely still, his dark eyes traveling from her carefully styled hair down to the heels Sophia had insisted she bring, even though she couldn't walk in them. "You look..." Dante seemed to search for words, which was somehow endearing from a man who always seemed so controlled. Beautiful doesn't begin to cover it. "It's just a dress," Maya said, but warmth flooded her chest. "It's not the dress." Dante crouched down, bringing them eye to eye the way he had in the hospital corridor. "Though the dress is spectacular. It's you, the fire I saw before. It's not just burning anymore. It's blazing." Then, before Maya could respond, he scooped her out of the chair with an ease that suggested he did this sort of thing regularly. Maya gasped, her arms instinctively circling his neck. "I can transfer myself," she protested weakly. "I know, but why should you when I'm right here?" Dante settled her into the passenger seat of a sleek black car, something Italian and expensive, with surprising gentleness. His face was inches from hers, and Maya could see gold flecks in his dark eyes she'd never noticed before. "Comfortable?" "Yes," Maya whispered, unable to look away from him. For a moment, Dante didn't move. His gaze dropped to her lips, and Maya's breath caught. Was he going to kiss her? Did she want him to? The answer to that question should have been complicated, but it wasn't. It was terrifyingly simple. Then Dante pulled back, and the moment shattered. He folded her chair and put it in the trunk with practiced efficiency, and they were driving through the city toward whatever awaited her at the Castellano home. "Nervous?" Dante asked as they left downtown behind. "Terrified," Maya admitted. "What if your mother doesn't like me?" "She already loves you. She's seen you dance, remember? That's all it took." Dante's hands were steady on the wheel. "But I should warn you, she's going to ask about us." "Us?" "Whether we're together. She's romantic. She thinks I need someone to soften my edges." He glanced at Maya with something that might have been amusement. "I plan to tell her we're taking things slowly. Is that all right with you?" "Are we?" Maya asked. "Taking things slowly?" "Taking what slowly?" "Whatever this is between us." Dante was quiet for a long moment. Then, "I don't know what this is, Maya. I know that I think about you more than is probably healthy. I know that watching you dance was like seeing color for the first time after years of black and white. And I know that anyone who hurt you has made an enemy of me for life." He pulled up to a stoplight and turned to face her fully. "But I also know that you're vulnerable right now. You're dealing with trauma and pain and a life that's been turned upside down. The last thing you need is me pushing something you're not ready for." "What if I'm ready?" The words escaped before Maya could think better of them. "Then ask me again in 3 months, when your life has stabilized, when you've had time to heal and figure out who you are now." Dante's expression was gentle but firm. "Because if we do this, Maya, if we become something, I'm not going to be casual about it. I don't do casual. And you deserve someone who's going to be all in, not someone who took advantage when you were at your lowest." The honesty of it, the raw care beneath the words, made Maya's chest ache. That's incredibly decent for a Mafia boss. "Don't let it get around. It'll ruin my reputation." But Dante was smiling as he said it, and Maya found herself smiling back. The Castellano home was a sprawling estate on the outskirts of the city, all stone and wrought iron and manicured gardens that probably required a full-time staff. Dante helped Maya into her chair and wheeled her up a ramp that definitely hadn't been there before. She could see where fresh concrete had been poured. "You built a ramp," Maya said, emotion thickening her voice. "My mother insisted. Said she wasn't going to have you struggling upstairs the first time you visited." Dante rang the doorbell. "Welcome to the family business. We do a lot of illegal things, but we're very big on accessibility." The door flew open before Maya could laugh, and she found herself face to face with a tiny woman who barely reached 5 feet tall. Silver hair swept back in an elegant twist, dark eyes exactly like her son's, and a smile that could light up a room. Isabella Castellano looked nothing like Maya had imagined a Mafia matriarch would look. She looked like someone's beloved grandmother. "Maya!" Isabella's voice was warm and accented. Italian, definitely. "Oh, Cara, let me look at you. Dante, why didn't you tell me she was so beautiful?" "I did tell you that, Ma." "You said she was pretty. This is not pretty. This is magnificent." Isabella cupped Maya's face in her hands, and tears filled her eyes. "When Dante told me what happened, what that terrible man did to you, I wept. To think that such talent, such grace, might be lost forever." "I'm still here," Maya said softly. Yes, you are. And we are going to make sure nothing else happens to you. Come inside. Dinner is almost ready. And I made all your favorites." "You don't know my favorites," Maya protested as Dante wheeled her into a house that smelled like heaven. Garlic and tomatoes and fresh bread. "A mother knows," Isabella winked. "Also, I may have had Dante look into your social media. You post about food a lot. Risotto, yes? And tiramisu for dessert." The evening that followed was unlike anything Maya had experienced in years. Isabella was a force of nature, telling stories about Dante's childhood with a gleeful disregard for his protests, asking Maya about her dancing with genuine interest, and pressing food on her until Maya thought she might burst. But beneath the warmth and laughter, Maya sensed steel. This was a woman who'd been married to a Mafia boss, who'd raised sons in that world, and who survived with her kindness intact, but her strength undiminished. "Dante tells me you want justice," Isabella said over tiramisu, her tone casual but her eyes sharp. "Not revenge, justice." Maya nodded. "Is there a difference?" "Oh yes. Revenge is hot, quick. It feels good in the moment but leaves you empty after. Justice is slow, methodical. It builds to something that lasts." Isabella reached across the table and squeezed Maya's hand. "I like that you want justice. It tells me you're smart, strong. Dante needs someone smart and strong." "Ma," Dante warned. "What? I'm old. I can say what I want." But Isabella was grinning. "Maya, I want to ask you something, and I want you to tell me the truth." "Okay," Maya said cautiously. "Do you want to dance again?" The question hit like a physical blow. Maya's throat closed up. "I don't know if I can." "I didn't ask if you could. I asked if you wanted to." "More than anything," Maya whispered. "But the doctors said, doctors know medicine. They don't know magic." Isabella's eyes gleamed. "I danced professionally for 10 years before I married Dante's father. Ballet, mostly. I know dancers, Cara. I know what we're made of. And I'm telling you right now, you're not done. Your body may have changed, but your art hasn't gone anywhere. It's still in you, waiting." "Wheelchair choreography is a thing," Dante added quietly. "I've been researching. There are companies, artists, entire movements built around adaptive dance." Maya stared at him. "You've been researching adaptive dance? Someone has to. You've been so focused on what you lost, you haven't looked at what you could gain." He pulled out his phone and showed her a video. A dancer in a wheelchair moving with such grace and power that Maya's breath caught. "This could be you. Better than you, even. Because you'd bring your training and your artistry to a whole new medium." "I don't know," Maya said, but something warm was unfurling in her chest. Hope, maybe. Or possibility. "Think about it," Isabella said. "And in the meantime, you eat more tiramisu. You're too skinny." The drive home was quiet, but it was a comfortable silence. Maya's mind churned with everything she'd seen and heard. Adaptive dance. A whole world she'd never considered because she'd been so certain her dance career had ended in that accident. "Thank you," she said as Dante pulled up to her building. "For what?" "For showing me that video. For researching. For—" Maya gestured helplessly. "For caring about more than just revenge." I told you, justice, not revenge. Dante came around and helped her back into her chair. At her door, he paused. There's something I need to tell you. Maya's stomach dropped. That sounds ominous. Tomorrow, Derrick Hammond is going to have a very bad day. I won't go into details, but by tomorrow evening, he'll understand the consequences of what he did. And he'll face legal charges. My lawyers have been working with the DA's office. Attempted murder, fraud, breach of contract. He's not walking away from this. Good, Maya said fiercely. But here's the thing. Once this starts, the Romanos are going to push back. They're going to come after anyone connected to me, which means they're going to come after you. Not physically. They're not stupid enough to start a war. But they'll try to discredit you, ruin your reputation, make you wish you'd stayed silent. Let them try, Maya said. I'm not afraid anymore. You should be, at least a little. Dante crouched down in front of her chair, his expression serious. Fear keeps you careful, keeps you safe. But I need you to promise me something. What? Promise me that if anything happens, if you feel threatened, if someone approaches you, if anything seems wrong, you'll call me immediately. Not Sophia, not the police, me. Why? Because I'm the one who will burn the world down to keep you safe. The intensity in his voice, in his eyes, made Maya's heart hammer. That's a pretty dramatic statement. I'm a pretty dramatic person. But Dante smiled slightly. Promise me, Maya. I promise. Good. He stood, and for a moment Maya thought he might kiss her. His gaze dropped to her lips, lingered there. Then he stepped back. 3 months, he said quietly. 3 months, Maya agreed. But as she watched him drive away, she wondered if either of them would make it that long. The next morning, Maya woke to 17 missed calls and 42 text messages. Heart pounding, she grabbed her phone. The messages were from numbers she didn't recognize, from old friends, from dance colleagues she hadn't spoken to in years. All of them said essentially the same thing. Have you seen the news? Maya's hands shook as she pulled up a news site. The headline made her breath stop. Talent manager Derrick Hammond arrested on attempted murder charges, alleged Mafia connections revealed. She read the article 3 times, each time finding new details. Derrick had been arrested at dawn in a coordinated raid involving the FBI and local police. Charges included attempted murder, fraud, conspiracy, and racketeering. The article mentioned Maya by name, described her as a rising star in contemporary dance, whose career had been deliberately sabotaged by Hammond. It detailed Derrick's gambling debts, his connection to the Romano family, and alleged that he'd ordered Maya's car to be tampered with to prevent her from testifying about what she'd witnessed. And there, in the final paragraph, the investigation was allegedly prompted by information provided to authorities by the Castellano family, longtime rivals of the Romanos. Dante Castellano refused to comment for this story. Maya's phone rang. Dante. Did you see? He asked without preamble. Everyone's seen. It's everywhere. Good. That's the point. The more public this is, the safer you are. The Romanos can't make you disappear when every news outlet in the city is covering the story. A pause. Are you okay? I don't know. I thought I'd feel relieved, but I just feel... Maya searched for the word. Exposed. I know, I'm sorry. But it had to be this way. Derrick needed to face consequences, and those consequences needed to be public. His voice softened. You're safe, Maya. I promise you that. I know. And somehow she did. What happens now? Now Derrick goes to trial, and you get to move on with your life. Speaking of which, I have something for you. What? It'll be delivered this afternoon. Think of it as an early Christmas present. Dante, you've already done too much. Just promise you'll use it. That's all I ask. The package arrived at 3 p.m., delivered by Sophia, who had her mysterious smile firmly in place. Inside was a tablet with a note. For research and inspiration, D. Maya turned on the tablet and found folders upon folders of videos. Wheelchair dance, performances from around the world, adaptive choreography, dancers who'd overcome injuries, disabilities, circumstances that should have ended their careers, but somehow became part of their art instead. She watched for 6 hours straight, tears streaming down her face. Not tears of grief this time, but of recognition. These dancers moved with power and grace and innovation that took Maya's breath away. They'd taken limitations and transformed them into possibilities. By midnight, she was sketching choreography ideas in a notebook, her hands moving across paper the way they used to move through space. It wasn't the same as dancing. Not yet. But it was a beginning. Her phone buzzed. Dante. Still up? How did you know? I figured you'd be watching the videos. Did you find anything inspiring? Everything. All of it. Maya hesitated, then typed. Thank you doesn't seem like enough. Then show me. When you're ready, show me what you create from all this. 3 months is a long time to wait. Good things are worth waiting for. Maya smiled at her phone like a fool. Good night, Dante. Good night, Bella. The next 3 months were the hardest and most transformative of Maya's life. She worked with her physical therapist 6 days a week, building strength and flexibility in new ways. She studied adaptive dance techniques obsessively, reaching out to choreographers and dancers in the community. She experimented with movement in her chair, finding that wheels could become part of the choreography rather than a limitation of it. Derrick's trial proceeded. Maya testified, facing down his cold glare from the witness stand as she described what she'd seen the night of the performance, what she suspected, and what had been done to her. The defense tried to discredit her, to suggest she was confused or biased or influenced by the Castellanos, but the physical evidence was damning. Forensic experts confirmed her brakes had been tampered with. Phone records showed Derrick had been in contact with Romano associates immediately after the performance. And witness after witness confirmed the Romanos' pattern of using debt to control people. Derrick was convicted on all counts. 15 years, minimum. Maya felt nothing when the verdict was read. No triumph, no relief. Just a quiet sense of closure, like a door closing on a chapter of her life she was ready to leave behind. Through it all, Dante was a constant presence, but never an overwhelming one. He texted daily, sent flowers on her bad days, arranged for meals to appear when he somehow knew she'd been too busy to eat. But he never pushed, never demanded more than she was ready to give. True to his word, he was waiting. The 3-month mark fell on a Saturday in early spring. Maya woke that morning knowing what she wanted to do. She'd been working on a piece for weeks, a solo that incorporated her chair into the choreography in ways that transformed it from medical equipment into an extension of her body. It was raw, emotional, unlike anything she'd done before, and she wanted Dante to be the first person to see it. She texted him, "Remember when you said to show you what I'd created?" The response came immediately. "I remember everything you say. Can you come to the studio tonight, 8 o'clock? I'll be there." Sophia had helped Maya rent studio space in a converted warehouse. Raw brick walls, polished floors, and mirrors that reflected back a version of Maya she was still learning to recognize. Stronger now, scarred but not broken, different but not less. She arrived early to warm up and to calm her racing heart. This felt more intimate somehow than performing for hundreds of people. This was just her and Dante, and a truth she'd been dancing around for 3 months. He arrived exactly at 8, dressed in dark jeans and a black button-down, with the sleeves rolled to his elbows. No bodyguards this time. Just him. "Hi," Maya said, suddenly nervous. "Hi." Dante's eyes moved over her, taking in her dance clothes, the careful way she'd arranged the lighting. "You look ready?" "I am. No music, just silence. Just me. Is that okay?" "Maya, anything you create is going to be more than okay." She took a breath and began. Movement through silence was always more challenging, more exposed. But Maya had discovered that her chair could be musical in its own way. The whisper of wheels on floors, the controlled spins, the way momentum could be used and redirected. She'd choreographed something that was part contemporary, part martial, part prayer. It told the story of her accident, her rage, her grief, and finally, her transformation. She used the chair to create shapes and lines she'd never been able to achieve on her feet, discovered that spinning in circles could be as dizzying and beautiful as any pirouette. When she finished, chest heaving and sweat trickling down her spine, the silence felt enormous. Then Dante started clapping, slow and steady, and when Maya looked at him, his eyes were bright with unshed tears. He seemed to struggle for words. Maya, that was transcendent. You really think so? I know so. He crossed the studio floor, and Maya's breath caught as he dropped to his knees in front of her chair, bringing them eye to eye. You took everything that was done to you, all that pain and trauma, and you transformed it into art. That's not just talent. That's alchemy. It's different from what I used to do, Maya said quietly. It's better. It's you, without anything holding you back or telling you who to be. Just pure, honest expression. Dante's hand came up to cup her face, his thumb brushing across her cheekbone. You're extraordinary, Maya Patterson. Dante, Maya's voice came out breathless. It's been 3 months. I know. I'm ready now, more than ready, and I need you to know that this, she gestured between them, this isn't about gratitude or feeling protected. This is about the fact that I can't stop thinking about you, about the way you saw me when everyone else looked away, about how you gave me back my fire when I thought it was gone forever. Maya? I'm not finished. She leaned forward, close enough that she could feel his breath on her lips. 3 months ago, you asked me to wait. You wanted me to heal, to figure out who I was now. I did that. I am healed, not fixed, but whole in a new way. And who I am now is someone who wants you in her life, not as a protector or a benefactor, as a partner, as someone who makes me better just by existing. Dante's eyes had gone dark, intense in a way that made Maya's pulse race. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. Then I need to tell you something. His hand slid from her face to the nape of her neck, fingers tangling in her hair. I didn't just want you to heal for your sake. I wanted you to heal so that when I did this, you'd know it wasn't about obligation or pity, or any of the messy emotions that come with trauma. I wanted you to be strong enough to walk away if I wasn't what you needed. And if I don't want to walk away, then you're mine, Dante said simply, and I'm yours. No half measures. No holding back. All in, just like I promised. Yes, Maya whispered. Yes to all of that. Dante's kiss was worth 3 months of waiting. It started gentle, almost reverent, his lips soft against hers. But when Maya made a soft sound and pressed closer, something in him unleashed. The kiss deepened, became hungrier, and Maya found herself gripping his shirt, pulling him closer still. His hands were in her hair, on her face, sliding down to her waist as he kissed her like she was oxygen, and he'd been drowning. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Dante rested his forehead against hers. I'm in love with you, he said, the words raw and honest. I think I have been since I saw you in that hospital corridor, looking furious and scared and determined all at once. But I definitely was by the time you told me you wanted justice instead of revenge. You're everything good in my world, Maya. Everything pure and beautiful and worth fighting for. Maya's eyes filled with tears. I love you too. Even though you're dramatic and overbearing and way too used to getting your own way. I am all those things, Dante agreed solemnly. But I'm also yours now, which means you get to call me on it when I'm being insufferable. I'm going to hold you to that. Please do. He kissed her again, softer this time. So, What happens now? Now? Maya smiled. Now you help me clean up this studio, and then you take me somewhere we can keep doing this without worrying about public decency laws. Dante laughed, the sound rich and genuine. I like the way you think. 6 months later, Maya performed her first public adaptive dance piece at a gala benefiting arts education. The audience included dance critics, arts patrons, and half the city's elite. Isabella Castellano sat in the front row, weeping openly. Dante stood in the back, arms crossed and expression neutral, but Maya could see the pride and love radiating from him. The performance received a standing ovation that lasted 5 minutes. By the next morning, Maya had 3 commission requests and an invitation to choreograph for a major adaptive dance company. But the moment Maya treasured most came after, when Dante found her backstage. He didn't say anything, just pulled her into his arms and held her like she was the most precious thing in his world. I'm so proud of you, he whispered into her hair. We did this together, Maya said. You gave me the space to heal, the support to try, the courage to believe in myself again. You did all that. I just reminded you it was there. Dante pulled back, and there was something in his expression that made Maya's heart skip. But since we're talking about what we've done together, there's something I want to ask you. Okay? He reached into his pocket and withdrew a small velvet box. Maya's breath stopped. I know it's fast, Dante said, opening the box to reveal a stunning ring. A deep green emerald surrounded by diamonds. And I know conventional wisdom says we should wait. But I've never been conventional, and I've also never been more certain of anything. You are my light in the darkness, Maya. My reminder that beauty still exists in this world. And I want to spend the rest of my life protecting that beauty, nurturing it, and being the man who gets to witness everything you become. Dante, marry me. Not because it's sensible, or because enough time has passed. Marry me because when I imagine my future, you're in every single moment of it. Marry me because I love you more than I thought I was capable of loving anyone. Marry me because... Yes, Maya interrupted, laughing through her tears. Yes, yes, 1,000 times, yes. Dante's whoop of joy was decidedly undignified for a Mafia boss, but Maya didn't care. He slid the ring onto her finger, kissed her breathless, and then lifted her straight out of her chair to spin her around. I can't believe you said yes, he said, grinning like a fool. I can't believe you thought I'd say anything else. Maya cupped his face in her hands. You saved my life, Dante Castellano. Not just physically, but spiritually. You reminded me who I was when I'd forgotten. How could I not want to spend forever with you? I didn't save you, Dante said seriously. You saved yourself. I just had the privilege of watching. Around them, the backstage area had gone quiet. Maya looked up to find Isabella, Sophia, and a dozen other people watching with varying degrees of delight. Isabella was crying again, but she was also applauding. About time, she called out. I was going to ask her myself if you waited any longer. Ma! But everyone was laughing, and then there were hugs and congratulations and champagne appearing from somewhere. Through it all, Dante kept Maya close, his hand never leaving hers, as though he needed the physical contact to believe this was real. Later, much later, when they were alone in Maya's loft, their loft now, Dante having officially moved in 2 months prior, Maya wheeled over to where he stood looking out at the river. What are you thinking? She asked. Dante turned, and the expression on his face made Maya's chest ache. I'm thinking about the night I saw you in that hospital corridor. How you looked so broken, so lost. And I'm thinking about the woman who performed tonight. Strong, confident, radiant. It's like looking at 2 different people. They're both me, Maya said quietly. The broken parts and the strong parts. The scared parts and the brave parts. You helped me understand that I could be both, that my scars didn't diminish me. They just added layers. You're going to make me cry, Dante warned. Good. You've made me cry enough times. Turnabout's fair play." He laughed and pulled her close, and as Maya settled into his arms, she thought about the journey that had brought them here. The accident that should have destroyed her. The chance encounter in a hospital corridor. The slow, careful building of trust and love and partnership. She'd lost so much that night on the mountain road. Her mobility, her career, her sense of self. But she'd gained something too. She'd gained Dante, with his fierce protectiveness and surprising gentleness. She'd gained a new form of art that felt more honest than anything she'd created before. She'd gained strength she hadn't known she possessed. And she'd gained a future that looked nothing like the one she'd imagined, but was somehow infinitely better. "I love you," she said into the comfortable silence. "I love you too, Bella." Dante's arms tightened around her, from now until forever. And Maya, who'd spent 3 weeks believing her forever had been stolen, now understood that sometimes the worst moments of your life were just the prologue to the best ones. Sometimes you had to be broken to discover you were always meant to be remade. And sometimes the man who seemed most dangerous was actually your salvation, wearing a different face.